Today we are going to be making paper crowns, such as this one that I'm wearing right here, or this one that I also made. And I'm going to be showing you step by step how to make one, as well as hopefully giving you some ideas on how you can make this project totally your own, or you can just copy me. That's totally fine too, whatever your heart desires. But without further ado, let's make one. To start, let's talk about the materials that you'll be needing today. First, a piece of paper, ideally relatively thick, a ruler if you want, a pencil, some masking tape, fabric large enough to cover your entire crown, glue, I prefer tacky glue, scissors, ideally fabric scissors, and then a lot of lace and ribbon and whatever else that you want to use to decorate your crown. I started out by just sketching out the shape of my crown using my pencil and my ruler, and you can get really creative with this, do any kind of shape you want, but I kept it pretty basic. Here's what mine's looking like so far. Once I was happy with the shape, I just went ahead and cut it out. Let's see how she's looking. Okay, this is cute, but I think I need to make my band a little bit thinner because it's just feeling a little bit heavy right here. I went ahead and fixed that real quick. Okay, let's try her again. Yes, I like that. That feels very balanced. And I just had an idea. I'm thinking I may try to cut some kind of hole in the center here and potentially have something dangle down in it. I think that might be a cool idea. I want to do something different for this one. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure the back part of my crown so I can make sure it actually fits all the way around my head. Now that we have the back part of the crown cut out, we're going to want to connect the two parts. I really recommend that you leave a lot of overlap when taping these together because it's going to make your crown a lot stronger. So once you've got things situated, I went ahead and taped in two different parts, again leaving a lot of overlap for extra strength. Okay, now that I've got it taped very securely in both spots, I'm going to try it on and measure how tight I want it to be. Let's see. A little bit looser. Let's see. Got that, and now I'm just gonna go ahead and tape it where I want it to be. Okay, so I went ahead and added the little cutout that I had mentioned earlier that I wanted to do, and then I also went ahead and taped the other side in the exact same way that I did the first side, making sure to leave a lot of overlap and taping it in two parts. And it fits pretty perfectly, and I'm pretty happy with how it's looking, so now we can start decorating. The first thing that we are going to want to do is to glue our fabric to the paper base of the crown so that we have a nice background to add more details. I basically just applied glue all over the crown and then started rolling the fabric around it. I don't know why I didn't cut off some of the extra fabric before I did this, but noted for next time. After cutting off some of the excess fabric and letting the crown dry for a while, I went ahead and cut around the rest of the crown, leaving about a 3/4 inch seam allowance around the paper. Just to give you a little closer look at what this looks like, just simply fold it under. I am realizing that I definitely use a much thinner paper for this one. In my previous ones, you can see how flimsy this is. I think it's still gonna work totally fine, but if you do want something maybe a little bit stronger, I would recommend using more of a watercolor paper like I did in my previous ones, instead of a cardstock like this. Went ahead and grabbed this one for comparison. You can see this one really holds its shape. You can still squish it. This one is definitely a lot more floppy. But as you can see, it's still holding the shape of the crown spires, that's what I'm gonna call them, quite well. So I'm not really worried about its functionality. The next thing that we're going to need to do is to cut some slits into our fabric so we can actually properly fold it around our paper base. So between each point of the crown, we're going to cut completely in to where the paper meets the fabric. At the points of our spires, we are going to cut flat, and then you might need to take a little bit more off depending on how much fabric you have, but I recommend just cutting little bits off of a time because it's always better to have too much fabric than too little. Alrighty, so I've got the fabric for my little crown spires all glued down, so I just wanted to show you guys what that looks like. See, I just have them all folded in. I did leave this part till last, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that in a second. And I'm also just ignoring this for right now. I will also deal with that in a moment. I went ahead and folded the rest of the fabric down, but I did want to show you guys how I am doing this little cutout in case that's something that you wanted to include in your crown. So I basically just took an X-Acto knife and cut through the middle, creating like a star shape, and then just folded the petals out in the same way that I did for the top. Basically, you just need to cut the fabric so that it can wrap around the curve. Okay, so now I have fabric wrapped around the whole thing. I don't know how well you could see in the video of me doing this, but I basically just used the same technique I used for these, where I like scored the fabric and just folded it out. So now you kind of can choose what you want to do next. Clearly this is not the prettiest on the back. You can leave it like this if you don't really care, or you can cover it. On this crown, I did cover the back. Definitely looks a bit cleaner. On this one, I did not care enough to fix the back. It's totally up to you. For the sake of the video, I will cover this one just so I can show you how I did it. Definitely doesn't have to be super precise because it's the back. No one's really gonna see it anyway. So if you do want to cover the back, I basically just kind of cut up a bunch of small fabric pieces and glue them on the back until it's completely covered up. You could try and cut one even piece of fabric to go around the whole thing, but honestly, I think that's unnecessarily difficult, and this method works just as well for the back. So you can kind of see I'm just kind of cutting different pieces, putting them together. Alrighty, the whole thing is covered in fabric. Yippee. Here's how she's looking. Beautiful. Here's a bit of a closer look at the back, my hodgepodge. You really can't tell. You don't need to be a perfectionist with this step at all. Really, no one's gonna notice it. Like, if you look super closely, you can kind of tell the hodgepodge, but this is supposed to be a whimsical craft anyway. So now we can do the really fun part. I'm actually not sure at all what I want to do with my lace and ribbon and whatnot, because I didn't do any planning for this, but I usually just kind of like to hold things up and see how they look before I start gluing. I'm definitely gonna have to mess around with this and figure out what exactly I want to do. So I will get back to you once I have some ideas. Alrighty, for my first decorative action, I think I'm going to take some ribbon and do something like I did here to create a little border. So I have this ribbon here, and I think I'm just going to glue it like this. So we have a fun little border to work with to start. You can see I kind of just aligned my ribbon and started measuring it on the thing. I always like to glue before I cut. That way I'm not wasting any ribbon and I know everything's gonna fit exactly how I want it. Before we get into the thick of decorating our crowns, I just wanted to give you a closer look at the ones I've made to hopefully give you some ideas on what you can do. Of course, it's endless what you can do with this. I think you can be super creative with it. This was the first one I made. It's very crafty, I love it. You can see this is like a little piece of fabric covered paper that I added at the beauty point. I have some sequins, ribbon underneath here. These are beads that I just glued on. More ribbon and little bows, lace. I have a really cute big ribbon in the back here. Yeah, I would say this one's simple, crafty. I love her. I love the way this one came out. Then for this one, I decided to go a completely different direction. I'd say this one's, I don't know how to describe it, honestly, but the motivating idea behind this one was these drawings that I did that I actually included as little details to this crown, which I think is really unique. I also added these like silver leaves. This is more just like drawing. You can see I actually used a little pin to keep this up and straight. This is all just ribbon I got, more lace, more bows, but you can be really creative with this. So follow your heart's desire. I don't know. There's a million different ideas you could do. Getting back to my crown, here is what it's looking like so far with the ribbon added. Then I decided I wanted to add some lace to the bottom underside of my crown just to give it a nice bottom trim. This stuff does not want to stay on. So I think I'm just gonna have to do this tiny bit by bit and just clip it in between because it will not stay otherwise. I can probably find some more clips so I can do a little bit more, but what a pain. Alrighty, so my lace head finally has a chance to dry. It's looking good. Happy with how it's turning out. And time to add even more. I kind of forgot to film myself doing this, but I just added some more ribbon and lace. And now I'm thinking about what I want to do around this border here. Had to bust out the E6000 for this idea, but I'm thinking I'm gonna glue some little pearl beads that I have around here to create a little border because I think it needs something to frame it. So let's do that. So I dumped out my little beads and set up my E6000, and then I just started gluing them on my crown. And yes, I am using my fingers and dipping them in the glue and sticking them on because I couldn't think of a better way. And then I think I tried to get tweezers and they didn't help. So this was the best way I could think of. Also, I hate E6000 because it stinks so bad, but sometimes it's just a necessary evil. That was a total pain, but I did it. Looks pretty cute. I definitely am gonna add some other pearls around the rest of the crown now. So these ones aren't lonely, but I'm definitely feeling better about this opening. Kind of. I don't know. We're gonna make it work. Next, I decided to figure out what was actually going to dangle in that little opening that I created. So I just put a bead on some wire and made a little loop so that it can hang. Okay, while I was waiting for some of these pearls to dry that I just added, I went ahead and made a little pearl charm, which I think is what I'm going to hang here. So now I'm going to figure out how to actually attach this to the crown and make it hang in the center where I want it. I'm losing so much energy right now, but I attached the pearl to a small piece of chain, and I'm thinking I'm just going to kind of glue it in the back so it can hang down like this. So let's go ahead and do that with the stinky glue E6000. I'm getting so sleepy and tired and kind of impatient, but I really want to finish this today, so we're gonna see how much left I have in me. She's looking good. Cute. She definitely needs more though. More. Okay, I got my dangle attached. I think that's really cute. I like how it kind of continues in this line down here. Now I want to definitely add some more pearls here and here, but I kind of have to like hold them in place while they dry, which is a total pain. So I'm kind of avoiding it, but I want to do that. I think I might add some more ribbon along here, maybe some bows. And then I definitely want to do something with the top of my crown spires, as I've named them. So I got to figure out what that's going to be as well. Okay, I think I figured out what I want to do for the top of these crown spires. I put some beads on some wire, and I'm thinking I can attach them back here like this. I'm gonna figure out how to top this off, but I think this is going in the right direction. Here I figured out how I wanted to actually attach the beads to the wire. So I basically just glued the top bead where I wanted it to stay with some E6000, and that worked perfectly fine. Here's what those pieces ended up looking like, and I think this worked really well. Okay, I haven't been filming everything I've been doing because basically all I'm doing is gluing shit and then holding on to it while I glue. So it's pretty boring and not exciting. But I will show you guys what I have once I've gotten everything glued down. But I'm literally just having to sit here and hold things until the glue becomes solid enough for it to stay on its own. So a lot of patience. Alrighty, I've been gluing for a long time now, and this is what we have. And I'm very happy with how she came out. She's beautiful. I end up adding some sequins, some little ribbons, more pearls. And even though it was such a pain to glue all this stuff, I think it was totally worth it because it looks so beautiful. I feel like it's still not dry all the way, so I'm scared to push it too far in my head, but you get the idea. And of course, I had to give her a little close-up moment just so you can fully take her in and all her details. Here she is in all her glory, along with my other two crowns. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you make your own version, and maybe you can host a little whimsical tea party and make all your friends crowns or something. I don't know, there's so many things you could do with these, or you could do nothing with them. That's totally fine too. But yeah, I'm super happy with how this one came out. It's definitely different from my other two. Let me know which one is your favorite that I've made. I don't know, I can't decide. Probably this one, which is funny because I hated this one at first, but it always takes me a minute to actually like the things I make. But I think this one is pretty cute. It's kind of giving me like Belle vibes, or I don't remember, not Princess Peach, but the other princess in Super Mario Bros. I can't remember her name. Was it Buttercup? Maybe? I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.